You guys know that there's no better place to talk about the greatest in combat sports than Knockout Radio, baby. Let's go.
What is going on, everybody? A very special show we have planned for you, which typically means we have no idea what we're going to talk about, but we're going to have a good time. Matt's getting ready to take off. I'm getting ready to head over to another Buccaneer press conference after today's broadcast. But first and foremost, want to wish everybody a happy holidays, no matter what you celebrate, when you celebrate, if you celebrate. You celebrating, Matt?
I'm going to celebrate the hiring of the new Buccaneer head coach. Apparently, this disastrous season has to lead to a firing. Is that correct? I mean, is that why you're going to the press conference today to find out who's going to be Todd Bowles' replacement?
Well, first, I don't see that happening in the next 2 weeks. Second, Here's the craziness, okay? And I'm still holding out hope because if they win their next 2 games, they're in the playoffs. And it's crazy because I think they've lost 6 of the last 7 or 5 out of the last 6. They should have won all but one of them.
Yeah, those are close.
Bad play calling, bad playing, bad head coach. The game the other day against the Carolina Panthers, you know they're playing for a field goal. You know you're not very good. Give them the field goal.
Yeah,
Don't get burned. Brutal. Speaking of don't get burned, fans that paid money to watch Jake Paul against Anthony Joshua the other day got burned. It was awful. Did you not watch it? Did you watch it?
It was the greatest boxing event I've ever seen. I mean, I've never seen anything so compelling in my life. I mean, seriously, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Shut up.
Okay. All right. So I wasn't on the edge. I was on the edge of jumping off a cliff. But look, at least he broke his jaw. At least the fans got to see the validation that, look, Jake's a tough kid. He backed it up. He broke his jaw in 2 places. So hate him or love him, you got to give him his respect.
But people are not doing that. They're saying that Joshua still held back. That Joshua said in the press conference, if I can kill you, I will kill you. And now let's be honest, you and I wouldn't get in there and take those punches. Well, for $99 million, I would.
Well, but the same thing, it was regulated by us at the commission. So no one was going to kill anyone. As soon as Jake was in trouble, the inspectors and Tim Shipman would have stopped that fight. So
hold on a second.
Anthony Joshua wouldn't have killed him.
Well, see, as a commissioner, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay? Because they could have stopped it. I was at a boxing event in Las Vegas, and I've talked about this numerous times, and it's not the only death in boxing. UFC 37.5, Chuck Liddell fought at noon at Bellagio, and then there was a boxing event at the MGM Grand. A fighter fought. The fighter died 2 hours later.
Right.
So you can't say that it wouldn't have happened. The blows taking to the head, it takes time, and that's what happened with this guy.
Well, there's been over 500 deaths in boxing since the inception, right? And it's because of the swelling of the brain. Correct. And the brain doesn't have anywhere to expand to, so they have to cut holes in the skull to give it a chance to expand. And so that's why boxing. But Jake didn't take that kind of brutal punishment, like 12, 15 rounds, 3-minute rounds, trauma. And I think what we're starting to find out in neuroscience is it's that 1-minute rest in between the punishment where you pound, then you rest, then go back out, pound.
Right.
So, but that's why we do what we do at the state. Like we try to limit the risk, but I was sure that Jake wasn't going to die in that.
Well, we were all pretty sure. Nobody thinks it's going to happen. But what I'm saying is, and most of the audience, the combat audience at least, understands that you're not going to die in the ring. You could die later in the day. You could die later in the night. But so it doesn't really matter you saying that they would have stopped. Well, he could have already taken the damage. And that's what they know going into these matches. It was just, I was disappointed in Jake, and I've been a big Jake Paul guy. I've supported this whole thing. I like the guy. I like the whole thing that he's doing. Every time when he would grab at their knees, it's one thing to grab, but grabbing at the knees, I mean, he was definitely gassed.
Joshua was 6'7". I mean, the guy, like, what else are you gonna grab?
His arms. You grab his arms. You don't grab his knees.
He's like it's like a toddler reaching up for a hug for Santa Claus. Like,
did you see the one when they went face to face and he kind of stuck his gut out and he stuck his chin out and he was like looking up and he was basically at his breasticles. He was nowhere near face to face. I don't know anybody who expected anything differently in a legitimate fight.
Sure. I mean, a gold medalist in boxing, legit heavyweight, top 5 fighters of the era. I mean, it ended the way that it should have ended. It ended, it went longer than it should have gone probably. But like going back to the risk component, I think what we're also learning about, the risk of fighting is how they fall. If they're concussed and they're unconscious when they hit the mat, like Justin Thornton, when he passed away in the BKFC, it was because he fell unconscious and then he broke his neck on the landing and then never recovered from the cervical injuries to his neck. So we talk about brain damage, CTE, but protecting the cervical is just as important as Hulk Hogan found out.
No, for sure. No, I get it.
So yeah, so how they land and also the amount of trauma, but it's a dangerous sport. And so my hat's off to anyone who's willing to step inside of a ring for any reason.
100%. 100%. And that's what I said before this boxing match even went off was, will he finally get the credit he's due? And of course he's not getting it. They're like, well, he still held back. Well, he still didn't. And like you said, he broke his jaw in 2 places. It proves that he was really getting punched.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no fake in that injury.
Now there is fake somewhere else. There is fake somewhere else.
Okay.
And I want to be careful because I don't want Knockout Radio to get sued. And I do need to say all views from the hosts and co-hosts and people that appear on Knockout Radio are not the views of me. Okay.
Yeah. Where's my disclaimer? Like usually there's a disclaimer.
well, we need to. Did you see the Pittsburgh? I think it was Pittsburgh Steelers. DK Metcalf.
Oh yeah, he went over and did he choke a girl in the stands or?
Well, it was a guy. I believe it was a guy.
Okay.
A lot of things are coming out.
Okay.
He's been suspended for the final 2 games of the season.
Okay.
He claims that this fan gave him a hard time in Seattle as well. Okay. That he used a racial slang, and that he said something about his mother. Blah 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 blah. Watched a couple of the sports programs across the country, and obviously difference of opinions. Cam Newton said, you say it to me, it's not going to be pretty. We've been around Cam Newton. I believe that would happen.
Cam Newton versus Joshua would be a compelling fight. They're both the same size, both great athletes. Like that would be an actual fight I'd like to see. But go ahead.
No, it would be about the same thing.
I don't know, man. Cam's quick, and he's a natural athlete, explosive, and he's just as big. I mean, I was surprised how big Cam Newton was as a quarterback to be that like fast and agile. Because I remember watching him coming out of Auburn and the way he could move around. That's a amazing specimen. But I bet him and Joshua was a good fight.
I'll always take the boxer over anybody that's not a boxer. I'll always take the MMA fighter in an MMA fight against someone who's not an MMA fighter. I'll always take Andrei Arlovsky against that reality TikTok dude. And you see, Andre wants to fight the bodyguard now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, any chance that we can get the bodyguard? But anyway, back to DK Metcalf. So I've seen some videos, okay? And every video that I've seen, you don't hear that. Now, how could DK Metcalf hear it on the sidelines? He wasn't on the bench, but he was close to the bench. So what are we talking, 20 feet?
Yeah.
All right. So that if it's 20 feet, I don't care if it's 10 feet. It's got to be loud enough that he could hear it as far away as he was with crowd noise and such. Yet all the videos that I have seen so far does not have that. Not calling anybody a liar. Somebody is.
Yeah, but if somebody's trolling you from city to city, traveling around the country at your games, obviously they're in your DMs, they're on your social media, they're sending messages and whatever. So there's probably already a long history of beef there. And when he saw him, he was just like, I'm going to get this dude. And like, he just snapped. He just lost it. He's had an opportunity to like do what he did, and he did it. So I don't think words needed to be spoken. If you're going to troll somebody, you're going to get stupid prizes when you like, you know.
Well, hold on a second. Let's say that trolling's not necessarily, from what I understand,
harassing.
He wasn't harassing, and I'm not sticking up for him because there's a time and a place, and the middle of a game's not a place, anyway. But from what I understand, he was trying to get a jersey signed, and he called him by his real government given, not even government, his name that his parents gave him, that he shortened to DK. Why would you yell at a player asking for an autograph and use a racial slur of any kind or rip your mother of any kind trying to get an autograph? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And I just don't want anybody to be a hypocrite in anybody who has spoken, and I'm one, about that Jesse Smollett. Is that his name?
Yeah, the actor that like faked his own
mugging.
His own racial mugging.
Right. So if this is the case, and I'm not saying it is, but if this is the case from the videos that I've seen, wouldn't it? Now, it wasn't to that extent, but it's the same thing. The person, I guess, has already contacted a lawyer, as he should, because if he didn't say it, it's like when you cry a certain crime and then it's proven that it didn't happen, the person who you accused is now blasted or painted into that when it didn't happen. I'd like to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll find out what happens, I guess. The problem is that the lawyers are involved. Like, they're the ones that made the pen and the paper mightier than the sword. Yeah, they give people this like sense of security. Like, the world's a place that it is now because too many people hide behind lawyers. And anybody gets touched, they assault. It's discrimination, that it's blah 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 blah. The lawyers are the problem. Like, don't take aggression out on the people. Just take it out on the lawyers.
Well, but like in this particular case, and I'm sure we can talk about many, and again, wasn't there, only seen small snippets of the video. If first he should have just ignored it. And there was another former NFL player, an African-American former football player, who said, listen, you've got to just eat that and walk away. And that's when him and Cam kind of went at it. And, that's not going to happen to me. And he's like, you just cost your team your services for the next 2 weeks, who are trying to get into the playoffs.
Right.
I go by kind of what he said. You know what? I've been called the worst word that a Jew can be called. I could give two rats' asses. And you know why? Deion Sanders has said this numerous times. I mean, Warren Sapp has said it numerous times. Somebody else said it when I was quoting the two of them. What gives you the thought that I give an F what you think of me or what you say to me?
Right.
I barely care what people I like say to me. I certainly don't care what a stranger says.
So let me ask a racially charged question then. So let's see if we can really get canceled before the end of the year. So like, when do we stop, like, because like African American, we talk about like this whole, like they're coming over as slaves and being sold from Africa over to America. Like, but I mean, what year was that? I mean, how many generations of people have to, you're just American. Like, why do we have to describe you as like African American? Like,
I agree.
I don't say I'm Irish American. I don't say I'm a French American. I don't say I'm Scottish American. I'm not German American. I'm not Indian American. Like, there's so many immigrants here from parts of the world that were never here before. Bosnians and Croatians and countries, Angola. I mean, so how come it's only the Africans that like still hang on to that root? Like, when do we actually stop? And just say, look, if you're here more than 3 generations, like, you're an American, like born and raised generationally.
To take it one step further, a lot of the riots and stuff that go on in this country are people that are here illegally, still flying the flag of the country they left to come to this country.
Man, it's so crazy, bro. Like, but like, I work at a mall. It's outdoors. I see people from all over the world, man. Like, in most situations that I'm in, I am the minority. And a lot of places I go, I'm the only, 50-year-old Caucasian white guy in a room or in a circle. Like, so I am the minority, at least in certain parts of the country. Like this is obviously the most diverse state in the country, probably. Florida represents everything, but I don't know. We're all just Americans, man. Like we all have the same rights. We have the same like obligations and duties and opportunities and freedoms. Just call it what it is.
Now let's go in reverse, because I've said this on the program a few times, and I believe Caleb was one of these as well. There's a lot of people who are very offended when they're called African American, and they stand up and say, "I'm not American. I'm African." Caleb was an African. He has since maybe gotten, his citizenship. He probably has. I don't know. But I know that there's been some employees at a hospital my wife used to work at who said, "I'm not an American. I'm an African."
Oh man, what's your citizenship rate? I mean,
Right.
What's your status? Like if you've denounced your country to become American, like that's why I'm not Brazilian. The only reason I'm not a Brazilian citizen is because I have to denounce my American citizenship to have a Brazilian one.
And we've asked you to do that numerous times.
I know, but I'm not leaving.
Please.
It's like being an American is like Florida. Like nobody retires and moves north, right? This is the place that everybody wants to be. This is the place that everybody desires to be. America is that on a global scale. Like everybody desires to be in America. They want to travel to visit. If they are not from here, they dream of getting a visa and a green card to come here because of the opportunity and the lifestyle. So, we are already in the greatest place on earth. I love Brazil. My daughters are Brazilian. I'm proud of the culture and the heritage and the MMA and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu influence. But at the end of the day, I'm not giving up the golden ticket.
Well, what's her name on Shark Tank gives away the golden ticket once a season?
Well, Tony Hitchcliffe on Kill Tony every Monday night gives away golden tickets, like to comedy. That's what we got to do, Randy. We got to go to Austin, Texas, you and me, and I'll get on stage and do my stand-up, and we'll go hang out with Joe Rogan. I'll bring the truck because Eddie Bravo said that if I ever have success with anybody winning a belt, then he'll put me on the show with Rogan. Well, Julian Lane is the welterweight BKFC champion. Ryan Reaver fought for the belt twice already, from 0 to 8 fights. So I got my credentials. I'm ready to bring it to the next level. So let's go.
No, never. I'll never take you to Joe Rogan.
Why?
I want to keep him as a friend.
Listen, Joe's going to love what it is. I mean, if you watch his podcast, if you watch his show, he and I are on the same frequency, bro. I mean, I'm not as deep into aliens and all the crazy shit that he does, but I am he's going to love what this does, especially since he's a martial artist, and the fact that he's wore his body out doing Taekwondo and he's broken, his body's in pain, inflamed. You can see it.
My mind is broken every time I talk to you.
Let's help him though. If you really care about him as a friend, let's help him. Don't sandbag it.
We may be having a guest coming up here in the next 15, 20 minutes.
All right.
I ran across something on the Book of Face, and I am credentialed to go to this, and I'm not sure I want to bring you to this, but it's Podfest Expo, which is next month in Orlando.
Okay.
And I'm going to head up the day before I take my granddaughter on a plane, which I'm really, really looking forward to doing that. That's going to be so much fun. But in Orlando, it's 3 days, Podfest Expo. I believe it's the longest Podfest consecutive years. Hopefully Andrew will be on at the bottom of the hour to talk about it. If not, maybe next week. But I'm really excited about it. Going to meet how about this? I'm excited about going to meet other people that do podcasts.
That's great. You're learning, expanding, growing. See, it's not too late to teach an old dog new tricks.
And ironically, even though I will never introduce you to Joe Rogan, it's because of Joe Rogan, because I've always said when I never liked that word podcast when it first kind of started, because everybody, well, Joe Rogan's done pretty well doing his podcast. And now everybody is doing a podcast. And that's what Knockout Radio has been doing and has become as well, now that it's available as a podcast after we broadcast. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the future. doing some things with the YouTube, getting some wireless stuff so that I can get a cooler background. What do you think of the background today?
Love it. It's a great background. But trivia question: who did Joe Rogan learn how to podcast from?
Paul Porter.
Incorrect answer.
Oh,
try again.
I don't know.
Come on, man! You got to know this stuff.
I don't. Why do I have to know?
If you're going to the podcast convention, you got to know some trivia about it. You got to know the origin.
No, I don't.
So Tom Green.
That's
Tom
right.
Green
started. I knew. Right.
And then Joe came on. I was like, look, this is cool. We can drink beer. We can hang out. I don't know how you make money from this, but this is cool. There's no oversight. And remember, that's what Hulk Hogan's dream was.
You know what else? Hold on. There's no oversight. There's also no overhead.
No overhead. But he was like, but he loved it. There was nobody telling him what script to say, what to do, what camera to look in. There was none of that oversight. And that's what Hogan dreamed of, was one day of having 2 chairs on a beach with a cooler of beer. He's in one chair, a person's in the other chair that's walking by, and they're on the show, and they just talk about whatever comes up. And he loved the fact that it was free and not scripted. And he never got that chance to like make that happen. But maybe we could bring that to fruition from my boy Hope. He deserves it, man. We should do a live knockout radio at Clearwater Beach. 2 chairs, you and I, and a 3rd chair with whoever walks by is on the program. And we'll just do it impromptu and no script and no agenda and just make it happen.
I'm sure it could be done very easily.
Yeah, let's
do
that.
You need obviously wireless internet. Whether you tape it or you do it, live. Well, I guess if you tape it, you wouldn't need internet. Well, but you'd need internet to get to whatever streaming service to tape it. I'm sure
record it on your phone. Yeah, your phone StreamYard app. You just record it and then upload it, or you could do it live. But yeah, we could literally do that concept. It'd be cool. I'm down with it.
I'm going to have to think about a name and trademark it before I announce it or we announce it. It has potential. It definitely has potential. Yeah. And build it up. Interesting. All right. No UFC. We've talked for weeks and months. Too much. The fight's this, the fight's that. Too much. It's now been a week or two, and there's not a UFC until the 3rd week of January. Are you missing it yet?
No, I didn't even know there was no fights. I mean, I didn't know there was. I haven't been plugged in or tuned in to the UFC for a while now.
That's always good. That's always good to say on a MMA heavily based UFC.
It's you know what it was. It just became so damn hard to find the fights. It would be on ESPN Plus, and it was over on this, and then you have to go on that.
Well, first of all, that's not true. That's not true. It was always on an ESPN platform. It was on ESPN Plus, or I guess through the ESPN Plus. I never bought the pay-per-view. But now, and it's even where Leslie's excited about it, because Leslie made a comment that now she'll be able to even do more because it's on Paramount.
Right. No, I know Paramount, and it's going to be cheap. It's like $50, $60 a year for like subscription. You'll be able to watch all the fights. So I think this makes sense, but when you have fights over in Abu Dhabi and around the world, like it's 1:00 on a Saturday this week, and next week it starts at 11, and then it goes until 2 a.m. because it's West Coast time. And it's like, it's so inconsistent, and life is moving so fast and people are busy. And so I think if you had a set, like every week you could plan this time slot is fights or MMA or UFC, I think it makes it more consistent. But it's hard to keep track.
Shocking. I disagree with you. What I do think for at least the East Coast is with them starting an hour earlier, I think that's going to help out a great deal, including me, because I started falling asleep. Sometimes I wake up in time for the main event. But I wouldn't say because of the change, and it's very rare. And it's most of the time, if they started, it's an hour or two earlier when it's not the big pay-per-views. When they're overseas, I don't think that's a big problem. And I'll tell you why. Sometimes when they do it at 6 a.m, you're not going to watch that fight anyway, whether that fight is at 6 a.m, 3 p.m, or 10 o'clock at night. Fighters that you don't know, fighters that you can't pronounce. So I don't think time-wise it would really be an effect to you, for you.
Well, and I think the other issue that you have is the UFC built these guys' names, on a global scale, like to make them a household name. Like let's use Yoel Romero, for example. Yoel, like he was built by the UFC. I mean, he was built in a lab in Cuba, apparently.
Well, he was really built in Cuba. I mean, that's where from the Olympics.
I mean, he was built in the lab in Cuba, but he is a specimen. And in the last year, or in the last couple of months, he has won a bare knuckle fight. He's won an MMA fight, and now he just won a wrestling tournament. So, a UFC built guy who has a name and reputation is now on 3 different promotions, 3 different platforms. And Tony Ferguson fighting in a different organization, but Tony Ferguson has a name and reputation because of the UFC. So I think because the guys that we all know are still active, but they're not active in the UFC, I think that kind of waters down the UFC's influence or desire, because now the guys in the UFC are all foreign. They're guys you don't know their history, you don't know their background, and I don't even know who the champions are right now. Do you know can you name all the champions right now in all the divisions?
Well, I couldn't name them even if I was looking at it on a roster.
That's my point. That's my point.
But that's unfair. It is true. I do understand it, and I have spoken to a lot of people, that have made the comment, that there's so many but that's the whole object of what the UFC is trying to build. Maybe we don't know who these fighters are, but their fan base is growing because you may not be a fan of all the people you can't pronounce, but if Bo Nickel fights, if John Jones fights, so there's the American fan base. Then you go out to, Drakistan and Dakistan and Robertistan and all of those and has that fan base. So they're building global.
Sure. No question. No, I get that. I mean, from the monetary standpoint and the global influence, of course, you have a fighter from Croatia. Everyone in Croatia knows who that fighter is because they made it to the biggest league in the world, right? So of course, the countries we've never even heard of have legendary fighters.
Can you name every rugby player that plays in Australia?
Russell Crowe.
Can you name any rugby player who plays in Australia? Still Russell Crowe. But go to Australia and ask them what Australian fights in the UFC. And they'll know. Kind of like what you just said about Croatia.
Yeah. Who is it? Mark Hunt, Tuivasa, Volkanovski. Is New Zealand and Australia one? I mean, is it kind of the same?
Well, it's kind of, but no, it's different. And I would get in trouble. You know what? I maybe won't say this guy's name, because if I don't say this guy's name, maybe he'll get so upset that he'll wake up early in the morning and call into the radio program that I've been trying to get Elvis Sinisek, the original gangsta from Australia, the first Australian to fight in the UFC, former co-host of mine when we broadcasted in London. So we have to throw his name out. And Elvis was so excited not too long ago when Dana mentioned Elvis, he was the original Australian, and that's what it takes, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, the king of rock and rumble, Elvis.
If you're gonna troll him, he might DK Metcalf you and come over here and leg kick you or calf kick you. Who knows?
I would welcome that.
What about the DK calf kick? Like, let's start an MMA move in regards to the assault.
No. If you're going to do that, you want to use his whole name, because that's
his government name.
Yeah, his legal government name.
It's not his fighting name.
Exactly. It's not CM Punk. It's Phil Brooks, right? It's the government issued. It's the parents issued. It's what's on your license. Even though there's a lot of people that have, their alias or whatever, I'm sure, on their license, and some of them have changed their name, like Styles G. White, formerly known as Greg White.
Or like we were at the Tampa Bay Comic Convention, and I tried to legally register Matt M. @ and they wouldn't accept it. I'm like, how can you not accept it? Like, you accept all these other things. Like,
what was their reasoning?
I don't know. I think because the at symbol, I think it does. I think the computer software doesn't recognize the at symbol as a character. So a lot of times when I try it, I put it on like, usernames to say this is an acceptable format. So it's all in the coding.
All right, let's see how BS you really are.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go down and see if you can legally change your name to that.
Oh.
Because then if you legally changed your name to Matt @TT,
no,
that's your legal name.
No, it's just M at symbol, Matt. It's
okay.
phonetically spelled. So it's the neural side of it. Yeah.
I think you ought to go. I think you ought to go down there and try to legally change your name.
So where do you go? The courthouse, or do you go to?
You go to the courthouse.
Let's do it. Legally? Let's film it. Let's do it. Let's get a camera guy. Like, don't you have a couple of camera guys? Like,
I do, but with today's iPhones, I really don't think you need, you bring a couple people with iPhones. I mean, that's everything that we saw from the DK Metcalf. Oh, we ought to Google. I'm watching time, so maybe Google DK Metcalf and get his given name.
All right.
But yeah, if you'll go down and do it, I'll go down and film it.
I'm down. I'm definitely going to do it. Let's see.
And if you don't do it, all right, let me say it this way. If you don't, with me watching, go down and attempt to do it and be willing to do it if they accept it, then I'm gonna call your BS.
I didn't know DK Metcalf was an MMA fighter. His legal name, Decalen Zacharias. Decalen Zacharias, fighting out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Well, no, he is. He's in Pittsburgh. He's got 2 weeks on his hands. So yeah, call him whatever you want. But all right, so is that we're gonna go down and you're gonna
and we'll film it for the show. Like, we'll do it in front of the courthouse. Like, all right, we're gonna go in here. I'm gonna attempt to change my name legally, and follow us on the journey.
I'm down.
Okay. All right. I'm definitely gonna do it.
Well, let's wait until you come back from vacation and I don't want to have a HIPAA violation or anything like that. So I want to be careful what I say. But if you do it before you go and see your dad, he may pass away just from that, from some of the stupid things that you've done.
But hold on, for my inheritance, does it change if the will's made out to Matthew and I change it legally? Do I lose like my inheritance from when my father passes?
Well, first of all, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not a lawyer. I only play one on the radio.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter if your other parent is still alive, because if everything
it does because my father has specific life insurance policies that when he passes, it's a payout not to my mother on the estate. It's actually directly to my sister and myself.
Okay.
So that's set up differently with the trust.
Right. Well, you said inheritance. There's a difference between inheritance and an insurance policy.
So, yeah, they would have to change the wills and everything on their end, I would assume.
I don't know. Well, here's what I'll do. Hold on. Here's what I'll do.
All right.
If you say publicly right now that you will do it if it's allowed, if they will allow to do it, I will call one of our Knockout Radio attorneys. Okay. And ask that very question. Will that change anything?
All right, yeah. So I got several questions. So one, does it affect anything with my children? Do I lose parental rights, as a father, like for my children who are still teenage and minors?
Your children would welcome that.
Right.
They're all for it.
But see, earlier in the show, lawyers were bad when they try to do frivolous lawsuits and ruin people's lives and do BS to get compensation for things that didn't happen.
You said that. That. I didn't. Knockout Radio didn't. Tan Talk Radio Network didn't.
But now lawyers. But now lawyers have value again. So, all right, let's see what they know. Let's make this happen, because I'll definitely change my name as long as I don't lose my money and my kids. But I mean, they allegedly Caitlyn Jenner was changed her name after her former self, Bruce Jenner, crashed his SUV and killed someone on the Pacific Highway out in California. Actually, probably the same highway where the founder of Call of Duty just died. Did you see that?
I didn't.
So the founder of Call of Duty just crashed his Ferrari, and died last night in it's a tunnel out in California. It's a blind curve when you come around. He crashed on video and
Is it Dead
died.
Man's Curve?
Yeah, but same red Ferrari, not at Enzo, I don't think, but the same way that Mass died, Charles from Tap Out, the clothing brand, same red Ferrari, same end of life, tragic story. So, regardless of how much money you have and how many nice cars you have and how great a lifestyle you've built, it can all be gone in a second. And so it just shows you got to appreciate every moment that you got.
I agree with that. I couldn't agree with it more. I'm trying to see if Andrew's going to be available because I would like to talk about Podfest, but I have not heard back from him. So,
yeah, it's eerie. It's eerie to watch that fiery crash because I remember when Mass passed. That the Enzo Ferrari literally split in half, right? And it was $1 million car. So even $1 million car can't save your life.
He just took it out. Do you know the whole story that he just took it out of storage?
Oh,
It'd been in storage, and he went and he picked it up, and I think he was taking his girlfriend to go show a condo or a house or just showing it off or whatever. And then that tragedy struck, and I miss that dude to this day. I'm fortunate that you didn't get to know him because you would have drove him even more crazy than he already was. But what a good dude. He really was a heart of gold. I remember, and I've talked about Charles Lewis numerous times in the past. I know that I had something on the old website, dedicated to him. I was always trying to get him on the show, and he never wanted to come on. He goes, when we make it, I'll come on the show. We were friends. We hung out. I just reposted the photo of the three of them. And one of his happiest moments, I literally made the man cry on the phone. When I was in Chris Hovan's house, we were going to see somebody. I forget who it was. It might have been Chuck Liddell. And family, Chris's wife knew Chuck, who Chuck was dating at the time, and they were all going to go out. So Chris Hovan's neighbor worked for Nike.
Okay.
And she happened to come over, and they were talking, and we mentioned something about Chuck Liddell or Tap Out or something, and she made a comment that, their name was brought up in their most recent meeting about acquisition, about this, about that, and I called Mask instantly, and he broke down on the phone. Wow. That was his goal. That goal where Nike, the biggest, the baddest, the godfather of clothing, was worried about Tap Out. It was one of his most proudest moments, and miss the guy. He was so cool. I talked to Punk Ass from time to time, Scrape, those three guys. It's a shame that you didn't know that. You wasn't around. You wasn't involved with Knockout Radio back then. And they were three really good dudes.
Well, but back then, Tap Out was kind of like what built the UFC's brand. Like that fan base, there's that clothing apparel, that was out of the trunk of the van, showing up at all the venues, building it from the ground up.
Not to correct you. They were out of the trunk of their car. I was out of the trunk of the van.
Right, because your van had Melvin Gillard, who sent you a special gift for Christmas this year, or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa,
it wasn't,
whatever you are.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't even a gift for that. And Melvin wasn't the only one. I missed that van. I would consider doing it again. Melvin was on it. Antonio Tarver was on it. Chuck, Tito, Randy. And there was like 2 or 3 others. So the images were all over the van. It was the coolest van in town, probably the coolest van in the world. But yeah, Melvin gifted me the shorts from his final fight. I said, if this is your final fight and you send these to me, then you can't fight again. You can't come out of retirement. You can't, because that he goes, Randy, this is it. I will not fight again. So let's see. Hopefully. But he sent me the shorts. He sent me the sweatpants. And he sent me a glove. I think the other glove must have fell out of the package, or he gave it to somebody else, which is cool. What a good dude. And he was one of those guys. He is one of those guys that a lot of people didn't get to know. All they got to know about Melvin is what they read and what they've heard. And I never listened to what people say. You know, I mean, he'd been in trouble. You know, he lost some fights. He said, you know, you have to be a different, you know, type of guy or athlete, you know, to do what they do. And we hit it off from day one. And he sent me a note, which I'm going to make as a plaque to put with this in the studio when we, you know, finish that. And big ups to Melvin. I love that dude. Heart of gold. A really good guy in that same category as some of the other real loyal people that have been involved with me.
Yeah. And, you know, to bring it to the new age, you know, I wasn't around for the beginning of the UFC run, obviously, but I was there for the beginning of the BKFC. And, you know, the same kind of thing could be said about Russ Maxim, who has the BK Extreme Fans for Life. He shows up at every event. He sets up his backdrop. He engages with the crowds. He does all the photos and the keychains and the souvenirs, kind of what Tommy Kalesi did with the billboard mats. And, you know, it's those guys outside the arena, outside the actual promotion and the entity that built the brand and the name and really made it personable for a lot of the fan base. So, you know, but I'm grateful to be a part of that journey from BKFC and on. And, but yeah, a lot of similarities in there. And hopefully, you know, not to be funny, but when Melvin comes to Tampa Bay to pick up his new Ferrari and he learns from these last two tragedies and just be safe on the road and not to be too crazy with it and enjoy his fruits of his labor.
It's easy to say that. It's easy to say that, and but hard to do. I won't say this player's name. It was an NFL player, and we went out to the Brazilian barbecue in Tampa, and he got a brand new car, a Tesla.
Okay.
And he's like, let's go for a ride. And if I remember, it was just rained, or it was raining, or it was slick out. And it was a hairy minute or two. I felt like I was on a roller coaster.
Oh, okay.
You know, you just don't think. And, you know, you think today, but you don't think tomorrow.
Sure.
You know, same as, you know, speeding or anything else. Oh, I'll never speed again because you just got a ticket. And my typical question when somebody says that is, all right, you got a ticket. How long until? And they know exactly what the question is. When you know, raised the accelerator. It's 6 minutes.
No, as soon as the cop pulls off, you're like, I gotta make up for lost time now because this damn cop slowed me down.
And then he gets pulled over again, and then you get another. Didn't I just give you a ticket? Didn't I just give you a warning?
So what's the okay? So I'm not gonna put a disclaimer on here. This is not about me per se. But
I'll be the judge. I'll be the judge.
What's your greatest excuse? Let's say you are speeding because you have whatever personal reason, like you try and get to a game on time, or you're late to like a work event or whatever. But if you get pulled over, if you're driving excessive, let's call it 20 over on purpose, and you get pulled over, what excuse are you giving the cop to get out of this ticket?
What's the statute of limitations?
I think 7 years in most cases for most stuff.
Okay, well, I won't tell one excuse that we went to court over, and I won, by the way.
You had a good lawyer.
No, I didn't have a lawyer. It
was just you.
It was just me. I won't.
They say a client that represents himself has a fool for a lawyer.
Yeah, or yeah. Well, I was the fool on both, but it worked. I did get pulled over as I was speeding past an unmarked car to get to see my father, who was dropped from, he became paralyzed just before he passed away. And they had him up in a lift and they were moving him, you know, from a chair to a bed or a bed to the chair or whatever. And they dropped him out of the lift. Mm. And I got off on 22nd Avenue North in St. Pete. And the hospital was downtown St. Petersburg somewhere. I don't want to say their name because I don't have documented proof that this happened, but it 100% happened. And then I got pulled over and he's like, did you not see me? And then I'm sure you've seen these memes. No, if I would have seen you, I wouldn't have sped by you. And I said that the hospital just dropped my dad and, you know, I'm going to check to make sure. And he let me go. But that was a true story. It definitely happened. It just didn't happen at the time that I was speeding. Right. It was recent. You know, it was within, I don't know. You give me a time frame and I'll tell you over or under.
3 hours.
Over.
Yeah, that's a good excuse.
But it was true. It definitely was true.
Yeah, it's a real story. Yeah.
Yeah. So, God, give me yours.
I mean, honestly, every time I get pulled over, they're like, "You know why I pulled you over?" Because they want that, Rick. And then every time it's like, "Yeah, because you want to work out on the back of my truck." And they're like, "No, it's your license plate's like blocked, or you're speeding, or whatever it was. Like you didn't stop at the red light, like whatever the case is." And but it gives me a chance to always explain to them how I can help them do their job in a better capacity.
I've seen a video where, and I'm sure it's not real, but the policeman comes up and they say, "Did you see the speeding limit sign?" He goes, "Yeah, I saw the sign. I just didn't see you."
Right. Well, the last ticket I got, I've only had one ticket in probably the last 20 years, but one ticket I got was I got a call from Michael Clayton. He was the host of Channel 10's morning show at the time. And he's like, "Hey, I got an open spot. If you can get here in 30 minutes, I'll put you on." But I was at my house, which is 45 minutes away. The state fair was in town. So right by the 301 and I-4, they had all the police traps set up. And I come fly by. I don't even have shoes on, ironically. My shoes are on the dash of my car. And I come flying past doing like 30 over, 25 or whatever it was. And the cop pulled over. I told him exactly what I was going for. Look, Michael Clay's going to give me a chance to come on TV, talk about this fitness company, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm trying to get there on time before the segment ends. And he did not care about Michael Clayton. He didn't give a damn about football or Super Bowls. He didn't care about
Good for him.
LSU.
Good for him.
And and I was like, "Dude, I don't even have shoes on. Look how fast I'm trying to get there. Like, this is important."
I hope you didn't say that, because you could have gotten a ticket for that as well.
For what?
Well, driving barefoot.
You can get a ticket for driving barefoot?
I believe so.
Shut up. How can
Alexa,
you get a ticket for?
Can you get a ticket for driving barefoot? Alexa, can you get a ticket for driving barefoot? I hate you, Alexa.
You're so hateful.
Like, I am.
You can Metcalf Alexa. Man, if driving barefoot is a crime, it should be a crime against people like Phil Knight, who made a fortune off selling footwear that's not made for the human anatomy. But I'll shout out Phil Knight, since we're talking about Nike earlier. He did just donate $2 billion.
Can you get a ticket for speeding with being barefoot? Speeding has nothing to do with it. Go ahead, go back. I'm sorry.
But Phil Knight just donated $2 billion to cancer research. So all that money made off of destroying people's quality of life, selling footwear that was never intended for them, using rubber and composite footwear soles to keeping people from grounding and building up, ion charges in their body. At least they're giving that money back to help people that need it. So,
all right. So
shout out to Phil Knight.
I called Dr. Google. It says, no, driving barefoot isn't directly illegal in most places, including Florida. But you can get a ticket for driving recklessly or negligent driving if your lack of shoes causes an accident or is deemed unsafe by an officer.
I would argue that you have more muscle control in your feet to grip the gas and brake pedal. You actually are a safer driver barefoot, just like, because inside the shoe, you don't have any control.
It says, driving barefoot can make pedals slip or hinder control. While not a specific offense, officers can cite you if they believe your shoeless state compromises safety, making it a risky practice, even if not banned.
They're lying to us. That's a blatant. Listen, Jim Fixx created a book in like 1978. If you go over to Disney at the Pop Century Hotel, each building is a different era, 80s, 90s, 2000s. And it's filled with all the games and arcades and the music and the records and all the things like from each era. And on the walking trail, it says in 1978, Jim Fixx wrote a book about how running was good for cardiovascular endurance and health and weight loss and blah, blah, blah. And because he wrote that book, he partnered and they sold 2 million pairs of running shoes. Like, it was for commerce. It wasn't for posture. It wasn't for health. It wasn't for your knee health, your joints, your ankle. Like, the problems with pickleball, the problems with a lot of issues is that footwear is not intended for our health and our safety. And duration events, according to Dr. Sean O'Mara, who was on the White House Advisory Board, duration events like running and triathletes and cycling and long distance endurance athletes builds more visceral fat around the heart. So running for long periods of time is actually detrimental to your health.
That's why when I ran cross country, I walked it. They ran, I walked.
Should have moved to a smaller country. You know, if you ran cross country, move to a small country.
Yeah, that may work. All right. Well, we only got about 4.5 minutes left of the program. What are you hoping to get from the big fat guy when he comes down your chimney? Unless it's Ripped Santa, who's not the big fat guy, who will be in town in the next couple of weeks. We'll have him on the program. I'm looking forward to that. So what are you expecting and what are you giving?
You know, this year I'm just giving my time. I think
but shouldn't you give something that people want?
I mean, herpes.
They don't want that either.
No, I mean, look, I think it's just I think as I get older, you know, and I've kind of cut myself out of the rat race of being an entrepreneur and chasing money and success and all the things that I was building for so many years. I think I'm just really appreciative of just being present and in the moment. And so for the first time, I'm going back home to Indiana to spend time with family, and I really want to just kind of enjoy that. And I hope to get stories from like my parents about things about their life that I don't really know, because I've been out of the house. I moved to Denver in 2001, Indianapolis before that. So I've been.
You better not wear a Hoosiers shirt, you know, like you're all of a sudden following their football team just because they're ranked #1 right now.
I mean, I might come back with a souvenir, but I just really want to get to know my parents. Hopefully the guard will be down. They won't worry about influencing me in a negative way. I can hear their stories of when they were my age or when they were in college. I really want to get to know my father specifically, because he sheltered a lot of who he was to like be a better role model. So I didn't follow in his footsteps. So I don't know his past. We've never sat down and went out into a bar and had a beer. I've never had that man-to-man talk with my father about life, about girls, about just drinking beer, I've never had that opportunity, and he's still alive. And I'm hopeful that this year, finally, as he's not doing well at a health standpoint, that we can actually go out and have that conversation man to man and see what he really thinks about my life. If he's proud of how I ended up, if he's proud of what I've accomplished, what I've achieved, what I'm building. But if I'm being honest, Randy, you've been more of a father figure in my life than my father has been. And both of you ironically have, you know, heart conditions and issues. And so a lot of similarities there, but I'm just grateful for you, man. You've been a great influence in my life and a huge supporter and giving me so many opportunities that I only dreamed of. So I'm going home to see my biological father, but honestly, man, you've been a dad to me. So thanks for everything.
All right. So what are you giving me for Christmas?
Herpes.
I don't want herpes and I don't want your time.
I'm giving you a break. I'm like the UFC. I'm going to take a hiatus for the month of Christmas and the
month of Christmas. Now we'll be on next week. We're going to do the same thing next week that we did today. And I need to say, since it's at the end of the year, you got to get ready for the 1st, which means taxes. Taxes are going to be due. You need to get everything in order now. You have about a week or so to get everything prepared. But I got to meet a really cool guy, Danny at Precision Accounting and Tax Solutions. Last week, Leslie made a comment about her accountant. That's the reason you need to give Danny a call, because not all accountants are the same. Not all lawyers are the same. Not all talk show hosts are the same. Not all co-hosts are the same. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, if you know what I'm saying. So I know this is a quick plug and thank you to Precision Accounting and Tax Solutions. Give them a call and Danny will definitely hook them up.
So ask your tax guy, because I need a tax guy, I need taxes. And if I change my name legally, how does it affect like my tax return? Do I wait till January 1st? Do I wait till April 1st? Is it a quarterly thing, or if I'm setting up a new tax ID number for this new company, when is the best time to set it up and how to structure it. Sole proprietor, LLC, corporation.
I will call Danny, and we will have Danny on next week on next week's program. Now it'll be New Year's Eve, so we're going to probably, record it a day early, just, like we did today because of everybody's traveling and things. So we'll get a hold of him. We'll get your name changed if it's possible to do.
Okay.
Our attorneys, our trademark attorneys, everybody will be involved, and you will become Matt.
Just Matt. I'll just go by one name, like Prince,
Sam.
like Madonna, like Mike. and look, before we end the show, since I said the month of Christmas, I was watching a comedy the other day. I don't know who said it. I don't know where I saw it, but they were like talking about Black Friday, and they're like, "Oh man, like they get the whole month of February, and now they get Fridays too."
With that said, I appreciate everybody. We'll be back next week. Have a safe trip up north. Tell your biological father and parents I said hi, and we'll talk next week. This is and has been Knockout Radio, brought to you by 8 Man Strong and Staff Zone. See everybody next week.